All right, this is the final video before we get to our conclusion video in the Oura Ring 4 versus UltraHuman Air. In this video, I want to talk about sleep, step counters, automatic workout detection, and then just general accuracy. Let's get sleep out of the way really quick. Accuracy on sleep detection on both of them is a severely mixed bag. Both of them will auto-detect naps with, I would say, fairly decent reliability. Generally speaking, if I do an afternoon nap, both rings pick up on it and offer a fairly precise timeline of when I started and then subsequently woke up. And for that matter, both rings detect when I go to sleep at night with fairly decent reliability as well. The problem is the accuracy of both of these rings in terms of my sleep quality and then my readiness score when I wake up is, I mean, honestly, it's probably bullshit. For starters, there's only but so much data that you can tell with a ring in the first place. You know, that's why real sleep trackers, you know, there's like 1,000 wires they connect to somebody, because in order to get like real proper metrics, you need to just have a lot of data on someone. This morning, I woke up after getting an absolutely horrible night's sleep. And while both rings detected that I had, you know, woke up intermittently throughout the night, and the UltraHuman Air, by the way, offers a toss and turn category, which I really like that. Basically, it says, you know, you toss and turn a lot through the night. You may want to see if there's something you can do about that. I think that's a nice feature. I woke up feeling like garbage, and both rings said that I had a readiness score of like 85 or something like this. Basically, that I was ready to tackle the day. And my sleep quality score was also in the like upper 80s on both rings. Bullshit. There are days when I wake up feeling largely refreshed, and I would say that it's an accurate interpretation of my sleep. And then there are days that I wake up feeling like garbage, and it still says that I had a good night's rest. And there's just no way. Conversely, if I have a good night's sleep and I feel refreshed, there are also times that both rings will report that, oh, you didn't really quite sleep the way you should have. You know, your heart rate dropped late in the evening, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to go ahead and say something that's very disappointing for probably most users. And by the way, this is applicable not just to the rings, but also to like the Apple Watches and other sleep, most of the sleep trackers on the market. They're simply not accurate enough. If you are buying these rings or these sleep trackers in order to really get an idea of your sleep quality, not only are you not getting reliable data and information, but there's also sort of a phenomena where, like, if you've had a decent night's rest, but for some reason the ring reported that you did not, you'll then go throughout your day acting and feeling like you had a bad night's sleep. It's effectively a placebo effect. So, bottom line is, sleep accuracy on these things is questionable. Do not buy these rings if it is purely for sleep measurement. If you want to have that as like a fun little side feature that you can use in addition to the slew of other features these rings offer, fine. If you want to have it as sort of a guideline or a benchmark that you can kind of trust throughout the evening, or for that matter, even use it for the HRV reportings that it will take during the evening and while you're sleeping, fine, use it for that. But really don't invest a whole lot of trust in the sleep metrics of these rings. It's just not there yet. All right, now one feature of these rings which is pretty disappointing is the step counter. Now both the Oura Ring and UltraHuman Ring offer a step counter built in, along with movement goals. And at any given point, there is about a 25 to 30% discrepancy in the steps throughout the day. The Oura Ring, of course, which always registers more. Already having that large of a discrepancy tells me that either one of them is like super on point and accurate and the other one is deathly inaccurate, or they're both probably not all that accurate. And that's basically where I'm going to lean. Now, that's not to say that you can't use these rings as sort of like a benchmark or a baseline, or at least sort of a general outline of your overall movement throughout the day. But in general, I wouldn't put a whole lot of stock into the accuracy of the movement, regardless that these both rings have a 3-axis accelerometer built in to track your actual movement. With that said, both rings do offer a sort of like movement goal, if you will. The Oura Ring, of course, which resembles the Apple Watch closest, it basically has sort of like an activity, like a caloric activity goal that you sort of need to meet, whereas the UltraHuman Air has a sort of an activity metric that, based on a few different factors with an algorithm, it shoots out a number. I like the intuitiveness of the Oura Ring's activity goal a little bit better, but I would not necessarily say either one is better than the other. It is, again, going to be largely preference. So I'm going to give a tie in terms of the movement accuracy to both of them, because neither of them are that accurate. The step counters in both of them are not so great. For those that are curious, I did a number of different tests to try to get the step counters and to see how accurate they could be. And what I would do is I would try to start both rings, I'd reset both apps, have them upload their current data. So like, let's say, you know, the UltraHuman Ring started at 100 steps, the Oura Ring started at 200 steps. I would then walk 100 steps, and then all of a sudden the Oura Ring said I had 700, and then the UltraHuman Ring said that I had, 300, this kind of thing again. And my guess is that it has something to do with the way that it uploads the data and when it does it. But I've tried it with 100 steps, 500 steps. I tried starting it off in the morning, like when I was just getting out of bed, a number of different things that I tried to test the step accuracy with, and just none of them cut it, really. So anyway, there you have the step counter accuracy.
And finally, the last thing I want to talk about is auto workouts. Now, both rings have an auto workout detection feature where if you do some push-ups, it'll basically say, hey, noticed you cracked out a workout. And while the Oura Ring is a little bit more precise with that kind of thing, ultimately I would say that both of them do a pretty good job. Having said that, the Oura Ring tends to be a little bit more precise as to what activity you did. For example, it can even tell when you've done yard work, which I think is pretty impressive. The UltraHuman does not do that well. One thing that I do think is much better on the UltraHuman Ring, however, is that you can actually tell the UltraHuman that you're about to start a workout. Now, you can kind of do this on the Oura Ring, but it only lets you pick between running, walking, and cycling. Whereas the UltraHuman gives you a slew of different things that you can select from, and then even tracks the workout for you. Ultimately, that gives you a lot more control with the UltraHuman Ring than you do on the Oura Ring. But the Oura Ring is a little less hassling. I'm gonna go ahead and give both rings a tie in this category, because while the Oura Ring does a better job at automatically detecting things, at least by a small amount, it is nice to have a little more control with the UltraHuman. And at the end of the day, none of them are really that accurate when it comes to your workouts, so the big takeaway with these rings in terms of their accuracy is that they are only just kind of. Bottom line is you want to use these things as sort of like a baseline or a benchmark or rather a guidance through your everyday life. But you shouldn't invest a lot of trust in terms of how it picks up your heart rate, step tracking, sleep tracking, and other health metrics. In other words, you should always be going to your doctor or talking to a health professional rather than relying on a ring to tell you if you're healthy or not. And also, there is something to be said about just waking up and feeling good. If you're the kind of person that gets good sleep, works out a lot, and eats healthy, then honestly, all of this stuff is just bullshit anyway, because you're going to be a healthy person. But if you're somebody that maybe, I don't know, just like slacks off or feels like you need attention in a specific category in your life, then I can see where these things can be at least a helpful guidance in terms of getting you to where you want to be. With that said, is there a clear winner between both of these rings? Find out on our next video.